aforementioned show. Today's date is Monday, March 28th, is it? 28th, John?
No, April 28th.
Excuse me.
Not March 28th.
I'm in the wrong month. April 28th, 2025. This is the Alpha Block, which means we start at right about 7 o'clock. That voice you just heard is John Combest. He is the man of the show. He's the star of the show, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have all the things we talk about in A Block. What he does is every single day he puts together this incredible website that has all these important things that you should know that's going on in the state of Missouri. Still a little bit of an interesting jury on that, because there was a previous episode of the BJ show that played within the last 15 minutes where John said he never links to government websites, but yet John says he has linked to government websites. I'm still not exactly sure which one that is.
Yeah, I'm happy to beat that horse to death sometime, Brad, but after we get into the top three, maybe.
But what he does is he synopsizes the top three from his vast array of stories it has on johncombest.com. That is his website. You spell it C-O-M-B-E-S-T, and he's a regular John, J-O-H-N, and you put a .com at the end and you get that. Now, we bring in this guy. Good morning, sir. What's your name?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And how do you, partake in this show?
Now on with the countdown.
Oh, he counts them down, and we start off with...
In third place,
brand new Franklin County presiding commissioner Dave Schatz is wasting no time laying down the law. And he started by something that you might presume would be rather routine. You know, one of the boring things that a county council does, that a county commission does throughout the state of Missouri, is they renew liquor licenses. They not only give out new ones, but they renew old ones, existing ones. Franklin County's liquor licenses are up for renewal on July 1st. That's months away. So the Franklin County Commission got together in a working session on Thursday and looked at a long list of 72 entities that were looking to renew their liquor licenses. Boring. Or so you would think. Well, Dave Schatz noted a few names on the list that he knows have a few questionable items on their vicinities, Brad. Those questionable items include video lottery terminals. You might call them video gaming machines. We've talked at length about these, Brad. Some people call them gray machines. They're somewhere between the black and white of legal, not legal, approved by the state, not approved by the state. So brand new presiding commissioner Dave Schatz says, you know what? Since we have a little bit of time between now and the time that these liquor licenses need to be renewed, I think we need to look a little bit closer at some of these facilities and the legality of these gray market machines. So Dave Schatz came into his office, Brad, after being appointed by Governor Kehoe, just at the beginning of April. And what is it now? Between 2 and 3 weeks later, he's already laying down the law. And for important context here, Brad, when then Senator Schatz was a member of the Missouri Senate, he was a critic of these machines. You know, most of them in Missouri are produced by a company named Torch Electronics. And Dave Schatz was a critic of these machines. He also went to Jefferson City this year, before he was even named presiding commissioner, to testify against a bill that would put some laws, regulations, and frankly, some legality around these machines. So, you know, Brad, in Franklin County, these machines have been controversial for quite a while. There have been some lawsuits. There have been some legal action against establishments that host these. And I think we're going to see, even if the legislature does nothing this year, we're going to see Dave Schatz crack down in Franklin County.
Now, John, you're the expert at this. I'm just like the dumb guy on the show. You're the smart guy. Wasn't Dave Schatz the guy that pushed through the gas tax? This every year we get another 5% gas tax. Wasn't he the dude that did that? Wasn't that the guy?
This is, yeah. And Brad, you've mentioned that several times. Every time we bring up Dave Schatz, you mention the gas tax. And remind us, Brad, how often does that gas tax go up?
It's every year, I believe. Isn't it 5% a year? Some crazy thing like that? And
yeah, I don't think it's a 5% increase every year, but I could be mistaken on that.
Well, maybe it's a nickel a year or something like that. Anyway, but he made it he meant to the point where I love this kind of legislation. Hey, if you don't want to pay that tax, just save every receipt the entire year, fill out Form 6502, which is 32 pages long, attach all your original gas receipts, send it via Greyhound bus to Jefferson City, and we'll give you your money back in 2 years. So I think that the easy thing for this is that what should happen is, instead of Dave, dropping the hammer on these liquor establishments that have these machines, what he should put some kind of like deal in there, so that if he could say, hey, we're going to approve all you, but you guys who got those gray machines, those quote unquote video gaming devices, all you have to do is send a bottle of Jack Daniels to my office every month for a year and I'll be forgiven. Don't you think that would be like a good deal?
I think that's pretty close. Or you could just, Brad, get all your gas tax receipts and show up at the Franklin County courthouse and put them on his desk and ask him to do the math for you.
Yeah, have him fill out the forms, right? So,
well, but let's get back to the seriousness of the original issue, though, Brad. So it turns out that there's some places, like there's a place called Players Advantage, which has a few locations, and apparently one of them was shut down. One of the locations was shut down in Washington, Missouri, but some of them still operate. It always befuddles me how these places are allowed to exist that are, they're clearly, or at least to me, it seems like they're unregulated casinos, right? Like, and I understand if you're the manufacturer, if you're Torch Electronics, you're like, hey, these are legal. There's nothing that says that this is illegal. But if you're operating a facility where there's gambling, I don't know what kind of logical leaps you have to make to argue that it's okay.
Well, see, the interesting thing for me is I go to places from time to time that have these machines, and John, maybe it's just because of the fact that I'm there and everybody skedaddles when they see me show up, but I never see anybody playing any of these games. If you go to, if you've ever been to Las Vegas, bizarre story. My oldest son, when he was like a wee 14 or 15-year-old, I took him out to Las Vegas once. And on the way out there, I told him, I said, you're going to not believe this because everywhere there's slot machines everywhere. I said, even like in the convenience stores. And my son looks at it and says, yeah, right, Dad. And so I said to him, okay, first stop 7-Eleven just off the strip. And I know my way around Las Vegas pretty well. So we jump in the car, we get, jump into the rental car, go down, get out of the airport, and we go to a 7-Eleven store at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, and there's like 10 slot machines in the 7-Eleven, and there's some at each slot machine. Now, why aren't they that popular here in the state of Missouri?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, first of all, I'm guessing that if you're native to Las Vegas, it's just a part of your lifestyle. Or, when you get off the plane at McCarran or whatever they're calling it now, Harry Reid, you're greeted by slot machines. I don't know. I think it's just more part of the culture. I would say, Brad, that I've gone into some of these big gas stations before and seen folks standing there playing. Now, people who criticize Torch Electronics and criticize these machines, the first thing they always do is, well, kids can find these machines and kids are playing these games. It's always easy to make up a story about how kids are playing these slot machines or something, or they're not being watched or whatever. But I see some folks playing them when I go to gas stations, but particularly out here in West County.
Well, there's been all this controversy about you talking about kids. Kids can't do this and that, do that, but yet they can get sex change operation. I think that what the state of Missouri, if it really wants to move into the future, that state of Missouri will approve age changing legislation. So you can go to the doctor, and if you're 12, you can say, Doc, I really want to gamble. I want to drink. And the doctor will perform, like he'll weather your skin and do some other stuff and make sort of your, some of your hair fall out. And,
make you jaded. Yeah.
Right. If you're a guy, he'll give you a beer gut. You go, okay, now you're 21. Okay, fine. And they go, what do you think of that,
Hey,
John?
Brad, I'm talking to a man who has multiple ages. Although he claims that he was just you were born in 35. Is that what you say, Brad?
35, graduated from high school in 53. I'm 89.
Amazing. And you look every day of it, Brad. Take that as a compliment. You know who also looks every day of their age? The subject of story number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
CBS News, a reporter named Kaya Hubbard. And I looked this up, Brad. Despite her name, Kaya Hubbard is a pleasant-looking white woman. With a name like Kaya, I went to Hazelwood East. I know a thing or two about these names. I wouldn't have expected that. Kaya Hubbard from CBS News brings us a piece about Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker. They ended a sit-in protest against the Republican budget. After more than 12 hours, they started it yesterday. They started it Sunday morning. You say, Brad, it's a bunch of Congressional Black Caucus members. That's what Brad says to John. Who cares? Missouri plays a role in this. And Ms. Hubbard points out that among the lawmakers that came in at, quote, the concluding hours of the sit-in was Missouri's own Emanuel Cleaver, who represents the Kansas City area. You know, he used to be the mayor over there. They've got a road named after him. Of course, it's in a violent, disgusting place, but they named a road after him, Emanuel Cleaver II Boulevard. And he was also joined, this piece notes that the guy from Delaware named Sarah McBride was also one of the people that joined Emanuel Cleaver in the, quote, concluding hours. So the point is, Democrats got together on the steps of the Capitol to protest Donald Trump, and they made it almost 13 hours, Brad. And I love this. This is like if you ever catch parts of a football game and like the play is dead, and then some scrub runs in and like jumps on top of the pile after the ref has already blown the whistle. Like Emanuel Cleaver comes in at the tail end, and I guess that's what you got to do with your 80. Emanuel Cleaver just turned 80 in the fall. So you let the young pups, the young lions go out there, you know, shoulder most of the work, and then you just shuffle over to the Capitol for the last few minutes, and you're able to get your name in a national story.
Isn't that what most politicians do? Isn't that
Yeah, well, I mean, Hakeem and Corey were there from the beginning, you know, so, and, you know, it's the Capitol's second favorite Corey after Corey Bush, but Cory Booker was there early. So, but, you know, that's what you do. You let the young lions shoulder the weight, and then you just shuffle over and take a little bit of credit.
So there's a street in Kansas City named for him, and you said it's the second?
Well, no, his name is Emanuel Cleaver II.
So the street is named Emanuel Cleaver II Drive?
Yeah, Emanuel Cleaver II. It's the name of the boulevard, yeah. It's actually a boulevard. It's not just a street, Brad.
Isn't that sort of confusing? I mean,
what's that?
Isn't that sort of confusing?
Why would that be?
If you live on that address, you have an address, like let's say your address is 1725. So you live on 1725 Emanuel Cleaver II Drive?
Yeah, it would be. And I just looked it up on the wikis. There's Emanuel Cleaver II Boulevard. It's also colloquially known as Cleaver II, and it used to be 47th Street. And it was named after Congressman Emanuel Cleaver because he was once the mayor. And it's one of Kansas City's longest streets, according to the wikis.
That makes it even more confusing because it used to be 42nd Street. Now it's 2nd Street, right?
Yeah, well, hey, we have a lot of that in St. Louis, right? Jefferson used to be 20th, right? Or is it still 20th?
Well, no, you're talking about Tucker. Tucker used to be
Tucker.
Tucker
well,
used to
I thought
be 12th.
Tucker was 12th.
Yeah, it was. It was 12th Street, and renamed it Tucker. So Tucker Boulevard is the old 12th Street. Well, it's just like, you know, we've kidded about the fact that you drive south on Lindbergh from Highway 40, and you're on Lindbergh, and then when you hear Kirkwood, you're on Kirkwood Road, and then when you get in Sunset Hills, you're back on Lindbergh. Now figure that out.
I know, and an 89-year-old man once told me the tedious story behind that, Brad, and it involves Charles Lindbergh.
It does. Luigi Lindbergh. Okay, last but not least.
The number one.
Another national story. This one brought to us by the Wall Street Journal. A reporter named Olivia Beavers. Brad, you think Olivia Beavers got teased a lot in middle school? What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I doubt she would. It'd be like having a last name like Cumbest. Anyway, Olivia, Ms. Beavers, points out that there might be a little bit of pushback from Republicans on Trump's big, beautiful budget. Now, you know, this is a popular mainstream media narrative, a popular mainstream media trope. You try to find Republicans who might have a niggling little difference with a Republican budget to get a Republican to criticize another Republican. So I'm always skeptical of these. But Ms. Beavers sleekily points out that Josh Hawley is among the Republicans who've positioned themselves as a key defender of Medicaid. Now, Donald Trump hasn't said he's going to come in and slash Medicaid. But even though Republicans passed the big framework of this budget, Brad, the devil is in the proverbial details here. And if the Trump team or the budget team in Congress starts to look at cutting Medicaid a little bit more deeply, you could expect the Josh Hawleys of the world to stand up and say, we can't have that, cut that spending from elsewhere. We'd be remiss, Brad, if we didn't point out that last week when we talked about this, Congresswoman Ann Wagner also said that Medicaid is the proverbial third rail for her. You will not touch Medicaid. You will not touch Social Security. You will not touch these key programs for our seniors. So a cynic would look at this and say the media is trying to create fissures among Republicans. But I would say it's probably pretty true. I think Hawley would love to be able to stand up. Let's say, I don't know, he ran for president starting in 2027. He'd love to be able to stand up and say, and even when members of my own party suggested that we should cut Medicaid, I stood up and said, not over my pirate boots. Those are your top three today, Brad.
Josh Hawley. You know, I heard that recently he stood up on the floor of the Senate and he said, I don't want to ever use my position as a senator to climb the ladder to another position being president. So we don't have to worry about that, John. So
he did, yeah. And then he signed an endorsement deal with Home Depot to advertise ladders.
For those of you new to the show, John has jumped in on Shelley Barr and I. This has probably been, 7 years ago when he ran for...
it was 2018, yeah.
2018. So Shelley and I go to a speaking engagement he has out on Veterans Memorial Parkway between 94 and Zumble, and we go to talk to him about advertising on our station, and as he gets out of his SUV, he is wearing skinny jeans, a t-shirt, not a t-shirt, like a button-down shirt, and what Shelley called pirate shoes because they had big old buckles on them and they had like square toes. Like you ever see like cartoon characterizations of pirates. What do they have on? They have like big old buckle shoes with square toes. So John has picked up on my observation of Josh Hawley wearing skinny jeans and pirate shoes, right, John?
And then you and Shelley immediately went to Suno and you made a cover of 1-2 Buckle My Shoe dedicated to Josh Hawley. I think that's my favorite part of the story.
No, we didn't. You know what we did? We went to Suno and did.
John Cone best, he's a man of taste. He's got a thing for a certain type of grace. He don't care about diamonds or pearls. All he wants is a girl with comfortable shoes.
That's what we did, John. That's what we did.
It's phenomenal. I do like the fact that you adopted Josh Hawley's skinny jeans into your wardrobe, though, Brad. It reminds you of back at your days at the barn at Lucerne when you would wear extra tight pants and you would do like the hustle, you know?
Dun, 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 dun. John.
Hey, careful. YouTube's going to report us. You do any more of that jingle and they're going to say, copyright infringement.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry. John, do you know, and I will admit this, at one point in time, the fashion element back in the day was a denim jumpsuit, and I had one of them, which I wore from time to time when, like a full, like a coverall kind of thing, where it's like...
Wow, they call that a Canadian tuxedo, you know?
Canadian tuxedo.
They really do. And Kendrick Lamar made headlines this year, among many things, at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because he wore a Canadian tuxedo. Now, Brad, why would Kendrick Lamar wear it wasn't the Super Bowl. It was when he accepted the Grammys. Why would he wear a Canadian tuxedo? Do you know?
Was that the Grammys when he was up on stage and Taylor Swift came up on stage and grabbed it away from him and said,
That's exactly what happened.
This is
I'll
right.
answer my own question. He's in a beef with Drake, who is Canadian. So to mock Drake, he wore a denim jumpsuit, better known as a Canadian tuxedo. See, that's a very slow troll of Drake.
I have never heard that before. Is that truly a thing, Canadian jumpsuit?
A Canadian tuxedo. Yeah, in the break, you should go to Wiki. I think we should start B Block by talking about the Canadian tuxedo.
Okay. Also, over the weekend, I heard and you know what? I'm driving along, and you're not supposed to be in your phone, and you're not supposed to drive and write at the same time. So I could not jot down the dude's name, but he was some Canadian official who was being interviewed on NPR, and he said some really weird stuff that we need to talk about that. So let's talk about the Canadian tuxedo and this dude from Canada who, to me, said things I'm going like, I can't believe I'm hearing this. Okay, you ready?
That's fantastic. We'll do it in B Block.